is on spirit animals. Yay! I love both of those words so much. One of my favorite things to do is to do spirit animal readings. It's not something that I have as a service on my website. It comes up as a part of services, and then like people will reach out to me sometimes that are friends and ask me about it, and then the next thing I know they're getting a full-blown reading, which of course I love. So I will tell you guys also that on my website, which is triciacarcharm.com, I have a whole blog about spirit animals, and everything that I'm going to talk about today is right there. So you can go and you can read this. How I've written it out is basically an article on my website another time. I will tell you too that this is just my experience. I don't think any of this is written in stone. This is just what has happened for me, the way that my experiences have sorted it out into some kind of pattern. But I think that this is similar to other people's experiences. And so just let this be, like Stephen Farmer's book and like the spiritanimal.info website, let it be a jumping off point for you to use your information. And then there are some points of it that I think that is pretty much how it is. So now I will get to the content. Okay, so like I say, I love doing spirit animal readings. And when it comes to doing the specific readings, there's a few different ways to look at it. So what's great about it is I get to use my knowledge about animals and the specific animals, like what kind of animal it is, what species it is, and then of course in general how animals and other parts of nature function as compared or in respect to humans in our experience, and the difference in our densities and all of that kind of stuff. And then if I'm not super familiar with an animal, then I get to learn more about it. All right, so let me first talk about the different things that the word spirit animal kind of can refer to. People often ask for spirit animal readings because they might be seeing an animal frequently in their experience. So, they see 3 butterflies, or, they keep seeing an owl, and all of a sudden they're seeing it a lot in one day or a lot in a certain period of time. They may also just notice one occurring in a really unusual manner. One time I saw a dragonfly in a sequence of another set. Before I started running that day, I heard in my mind, in order to confirm something that I was asking about, that I would see a sign of a butterfly, a dragonfly, and a beetle. And it was weird because, and when I heard that, I thought that I was being selfish and I was asking for that, and that was too much to ask for. But the other part that was weird is that it's a very, very dry trail. And as you may know, dragonflies are really water animals. So they showed up for me, though, and in the order that I heard that they were going to show up, which was not even necessary. That's just the universe saying, see? So it could be something like that, like an unusual sequence, or you had an intuition about them showing up, or it could be an unusual placement like the dragonfly in my arid run. Or it could be that you have an affinity for a particular animal and you always have your whole life. One could be visiting you in a dream, or actually another time I saw a dragonfly was I was driving down the freeway, again, a very dry climate, like on the 101, and we stopped in some traffic, and then suddenly a dragonfly started just hovering right in front of my windshield. So I don't know why he was doing that and why he was even there. Those are some reasons that provoke, or just in general, you could see a butterfly and it's not necessarily unusual or a super frequent thing, but you just get an intuitive hit when you see it. All of that stuff is very valid. And sometimes people think it's a particular message they have, and sometimes it's a confirmation, a sign to confirm something that that you really wanted to have a confirmation for. And then it could be one of the other things, like they're an actual role in your spirit family, and they want to communicate that to you. So let me first talk about animals as our spiritual guardians. Overall, it's good to understand that animals and nature in general are really good spirit guardians to humans. And let me just digress a little bit and just make sure I'm not making too much of a distinction between humans and nature, because we are nature as well. We are not in nature. But if I'm talking about as opposed the rest of nature, you get it? The reason that they are better at being are really good for as spiritual guardians for humans, animals, and nature. So by nature, I'm referring to trees, and usually, I mean, insects are animals, but we think of animals, we're thinking of the fuzzy ones that sleep in our bed with us, but and also elements and parts of nature. It could be bodies of water, grass, flowers, any element of Gaia. Gaia, Mother Earth, her energetic signature is close to the signature of source energy, and they are closer to her, to Mother Earth. And so that makes them, even though they're interestingly more dense than we are, they are higher vibrational in their emotional composition, in that they understand their eternal nature. They're way more present. They just vibrate at a frequency, as in they're more identified with love. Generally speaking, they have less of the experience of amnesia like humans have. And they do, though, because they commit to this experience. And what's interesting is that even though they're attuned to their eternal nature, they're committed to the now. And that's not a paradox, because the now is actually an unfolding eternity. Eternity is just now. So that's how they actually connect with their eternal nature, is through their deep presence with the now. Having that perspective makes them really good. And I'm talking right now the ones that are incarnate, like the ones that either live in our homes or the ones that are wild and live in more of the primal environment, animals and other elements of nature alike. They are really adept at being spiritual guardians to us. We have a very unique experience in this plane. We have that deep amnesia, and just this density that we are in, this 3rd/4th density, really puts us in a unique perspective as compared to the rest of the incarnated planet. So being that they are very present, very much in flow, really identified with divinity, this makes them open vessels for divine. And I'll explain what I mean by that. They just are naturally in flow, and they're naturally moving with the highest good of the ecosystem. And so, like I said, humans are nature, just like everything else is nature. And nature is an ecosystem, and an ecosystem wants every single part to live its fullest, to express itself the best, to contribute and receive both from the ecosystem, because that's how ecosystems function. They're entirely symbiotic. And so that's what the universe is as well. But we have a really great model if we look at just our garden, and we know that if the flower is healthy and vibrant and expressing itself, that it's going to support the bee, and then the bee is going to support another flower. You know what I mean? Like this is how it works. We are a part of this. This is the truth of our existence. This is why we say the universe is truly conspiring for your success. It is dependent upon it. We need your light. That isn't just something to stitch on a pillow. That is your calling, is your light and your individual signature. You guys hear me if you come to my lives. I'm always talking about the information inside the seed. The information inside the seed, it's a non-physical signature. It is an intention. It is a kind of faith. It is the calling, the desire, the life force energy. All of those things are the same, and it is non-physical. It's physical, but it's, you know what I mean, as compared to the hard shell that contains it. It is a non-physical, subtle intention, and yet it breaks through that hard shell and it finds the sun. And we are made exactly the same way, except that we forget that. So, you guys please deeply understand this, but this is what I say. This is why animals and nature are such open vessels for divine. This is why when we ask for a sign in the form of an animal, or we receive a sign in the form of an animal or an element of nature, this is why it happens so easily. Yes, show gratitude to the one who gave it, whether it's a butterfly or a kitty cat or whatever. Give gratitude to it, but they actually did it so deeply consciously that it was not even, it was just natural. And that's what we're meant to do too. We're meant to be just natural, our natural selves. And we do that with one another too. So you guys, I want you to know that if you commit to just the attitude and the knowledge that you are in flow and that you are a cooperative component of the universe, you will instantly be in flow. That's the magic that we are. So just so you know, when we are vibrating to that, we're vibrating and seeking out joy and flow and ease, then we are open vessels for divine, just like animals are. And then we become signs to someone else, and we become the appropriate, highest good cooperative components for someone else. So you're running late and you stopped at a traffic light, you know, one traffic light later than you intended to in order to be there on time. That may have saved someone's life. You don't know. They may have read your license plate and said, oh my God, that's the 30th time I've seen that number combination, and now I know I'm supposed to go and be a medium. Right? That's what you might be, and you don't even know it. And then the other cool part is that you often do get to know it. You often do get told that you were someone else's sign and that you were someone else's cooperative component that helped to propel them to their highest good. So I'm off on a thing, but this is what animals teach us. Animals are adept at being spiritual guardians for us. And, you know, anyone who has animals in their family, you know this. You just look at them. I look at Franzi all the time and I'm like, well, that's how it's done. I mean, that's it. So you just feel good? Oh, okay, just feel good. Just be like that and be feeling good all the time. And when they're not feeling good, it's usually because they're responding to us. Power animals and the animal totem. So the word animal totem is along the lines of the Native American system of faith and beliefs. And I like to look at that too. So in addition to being a specific sign or message, as we're talking about, like my dragonfly and my butterfly, there are a few ways that nature and animals also function as our spiritual guides. So the word totem, it's often used to mean a mark of someone's clan or ancestry in the form of a nature element or an animal. A totem can also be a general symbol in the form of nature. We associate the word totem with the Native American culture, but the concept actually has a historical reference all the way back to ancient Greeks. The Native American belief system holds that everyone has 9 spirit animals or power animals. Now, see, that's the part where I differentiate a little bit, just because I don't see any point of limiting it to that, or even assuming that it must be 9. You know what I mean? Like, me thinking that there has to be a specific number to me doesn't really work for me. But there's nothing wrong with, if that's how you want to focus on it. I don't think you'll have any inhibition by doing that either. We draw upon the qualities of the spirit animals, and they lend us a guidance according to their strengths. The spirit animals may change throughout our life according to circumstances and personal development, with one exception, and that is the animal totem. And so this, again, is the Native American system. The animal totem remains constant throughout the lifetime. Another way to say it is that, like, your animal totem is your master spirit animal. And for me, that makes a lot of sense to me, but I think that I feel like I have a master spirit animal or a totem, but at the same time, I think I have a few others that are constants throughout my life as well, if that makes sense. And that's just how I feel about my particular spirit team. And by the way, my master spirit animal or my totem is a unicorn. And a unicorn is, even though this is not an animal that incarnates anymore, it's kind of like actually in the realm of being an elemental, or like in the fairy realm. But a unicorn is an ascended horse. So this is why I kind of put it in the realm of it being a master spirit animal. He's one of my big guides. He's very primary in how he works with me. Like I say, in my experience, the master animal guide or totem can be experienced as a general symbol or an individual who represents a spirit animal category. So either way, so it may be like cat is your animal, power animal or animal totem. And so it's more like the deva or something like that, a deva. Do you know what a deva is? A deva is the overarching overseer of a particular category of whatever it is. So like in the elemental realm, we have, for example, the gnomes who oversee the element of earth, and then all of the nature spirits and fairies and whatnot who are working with the element earth, and the gnomes are kind of the overseers, or the sort of like the devas of the element earth, of the elementals. But then there are also devas who oversee like your home. There's a nature spirit, a deva, who oversees your home or oversees the trees of a forest, that kind of thing. And then there are also devas who oversee a particular species. There is a deva that may oversee a species in a particular area. The devas in the devic realm, they are very high vibrational, very pure consciousness. And so when we have pure consciousness, they tend to have less personality, if that makes sense. Just because they're so tapped into unity. They still are autonomous. Having an individual personality and a fleshed out personality isn't the same as being autonomous. So they're still an individual, and they still have a personal identity, but less personality the way that we do, or we're like, we're overthinking things all the time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's a part of the experience as well. Deva, by the way, is spelled D-E-V-A. It's a Sanskrit word. It means heavenly, divine, anything of excellence. So basically, yeah, when you think of the word deva, it's like a leader. You may, like I say, you may have a spirit animal that is more of what that animal is like. And in that case, then this is when I get people who say, I keep seeing bumblebees, and I actually have a reading that if we have time, I will share it with you, where of someone who, a bumblebee spirit animal reading, and that is what is one of her spirit animals, kind of like that Davic kind of personality is her spirit animal. Or you can have a spirit animal who is a particular personality, an individual, and then also represents the category. So like my unicorn guide is an individual with a name and a personality and a feeling. And again, the personality is less, developed, very high vibrational. He's also an individual, and as well as representing unicorns and what unicorns are like. It's kind of sort of like the culture of the unicorns. Animal totems and animal guides can be animals who are not or no longer physically expressed on the third dimension. The mystical animals, like I'm saying, like the unicorns. Dragons, I have dragon spirit guides as well. There are mer people. There's all kinds of, those discarnate or no longer incarnated animals that I consider a part of still the spirit animal team. Or you could think of them as part of your elemental guides. It doesn't really matter, The word spirit animal, sometimes people they ask me and they wonder if it is their past animals. In addition to the power animal, animal totem, spirit animals, animal guides, our past animals can be a part of our spirit team. So this is really pretty different to me. I put our animals who are a part of our soul group or our soul family more like, they're almost like ancestral guides, if you know what I mean. So if your relatives that you know in this life pass on, and they may become a guide to you. Or I have, for example, and you could have ancient ancestors who are part of your team, and that you don't know if they've even ever incarnated in your lifetime this time. We make plans with animals to, just like we do with our soul group, we make pre-birth plans where we're deciding the different lessons we're going to learn together. And sometimes when they're in our lives, they will be, because usually a lot of animals have shorter, like our dogs and cats in particular, have shorter lifespans than we. So they may incarnate a few times in one of our lives, or maybe they don't. Sometimes when they leave, they're like, now I'm going to stay up here because I'm going to do my job from here for the rest of this life for you. Just like any form of spirit guide, it's a role that animals will take for us. And it's sometimes I have a very close friend who's an animal communicator, and some of her animal spirit guides, meaning like her past animals or animals that she's helped, they'll come and help me. And he'll just show up. And she actually told me, she's like, this dog Ozzy, he says he wants to help us. So just so you know, he looks like this, and he may show up sometimes. And okay, so he does. So Ozzy shows up, and I never met him in the body. Usually when people ask me for a spirit animal reading, it's because they've been having sightings. In that case, that is usually one of those many spirit animals that are a part of their group, kind of like the Native American system says you have 9. The way that it usually comes across for me is that you have 1 to 3 who are very primary, and then you have other ones that are sort of situational that may come in and out. And for me right now, I have about 11, and that's actually me just feeling into it right now. I have 11, and it's almost like 2 tiers. It's like a primary, a secondary, and then other ones that kind of like are support. They're the co-stars, the supporting cast that are a part of. They help me. I have a couple of examples here of the different readings that I've done. So what I do to start a reading is I do, like I say, use those couple of resources as a jumping off point, and I will go and look at maybe Stephen Farmer's book, Animal Spirit Guides, or look it up online, and I just kind of feel into it. I don't like make that the gospel, but those are pretty good, and I just kind of feel into it and feel the things that are sticking and let that be a jumping off point. And then I might also, if it's a cat, I know cats really, really well, but for example, I have Ladybug here. I went and looked up a ladybug to read about her a little bit so I could understand her physicality. And I mean, I looked her up on just a regular website, like what is a ladybug about, like Wikipedia or something like that, or some site that explains what ladybugs do and how their bodies work and that kind of stuff, because that is all a big part of it too. I got this message. I actually put up a picture of ladybugs, and then someone reached out to me. So this actually, I will tell you, this is actually my mother wrote me this. So I did go into this knowing this person pretty well, but obviously, well, not obviously actually, I don't talk to my mother a lot. I haven't seen her in a long time. We mostly just Facebook, and nothing, not that there's no bad blood or anything like that. Just like with any other client, I would feel into them and feel into the situation and intuitively get information on it and do a reading that way. So this was the ask. This was the question that I got. I have 2 yellow and black ladybugs that live on and around my desk at work. They come to see me often. What do you think that is an indication of? So I'm going to just kind of read you the reading that I gave her. I said, first, on a personal level, I think they like you. Just so you know, those 2 particular incarnated personalities of those ladybugs, they like you. Spiritually, they symbolize good fortune and shielding from outside annoyances. So this is like what I picked up from the couple of resources that I looked at. So it's nice that they come and see you at work. They give you a lift, and they keep your vibration high at work in your environment. So, when she sees them and that she keeps seeing them, it makes her happy. She's like, well, there they are again. So right there raises her vibration a little bit. And I'm telling her, when I ask for a sign about something, or specific, or even just a general sign, I see butterflies, dragonflies, and beetles, including a ladybug. And so physically speaking, beetles, which ladybugs are a beetle, they're really just composed of head, abdomen, and thorax. Or another way to look at that is, and this is stuff that I just analyzed from reading a little bit about ladybugs, like I say, scientifically even. So ladybugs are composed of those 3 components. That's really all their body is. And so you would say head, abdomen, and thorax, or mind, heart / chest, and gut. So the mind and head is our connection to divine, how we receive and give inspiration and truth. The heart is obviously our love center, and the thorax is also like a center for inspiration and truth, because we have gut feelings. The thorax is the respiratory system, so that speaks to the breath of life and our authentic self and presence. So our breath of life is really our authentic self, because it is the marriage between spirit and physical expression. The gut is representative of wisdom of our body and the whole being, how we get the gut feeling about the truth of a situation. And then, because these were the yellow and black kind of ladybugs, the color yellow is the color of the solar plexus chakra, which is the gut chakra, the one that's by the gut. This is the spiritual and energetic center located in the gut area. The solar plexus chakra is the center of self-identity and self-esteem. Therefore, so given all that information, this yellow ladybug would be an encouragement to place awareness on self-love and self-acceptance. The physical system, being 3 components, also speaks to the number 3 and the sublimity of the mind, body, spirit mechanism. That's kind of the holy trinity of the human, is the mind, body, spirit. The number 3 is the number of the archangels and ascended masters as well. So this means that they are with you and they help you when you ask. Also, a ladybug is a symbol of Mother Mary, and that means that her energy is around you regardless of your religious structure. She's an Ascended Master, I'm explaining to her. Mother Mary would be in the class of Ascended Masters. Or perhaps if you refer, you can reflect upon the positive and timeless qualities of Mother Mary archetype as an inspiration. So that was an animal reading.